joined by Bob Alvis. Pleasure to see you here, sir. I know it's been a long day for you, so this way we can have a little bit of fun and eat a little humble pie. Because I looked at some of my picks compared to your picks. It's not looking as good. So
They're
I
not
want
that
to.
bad.
Well, if memory serves, you got me beat on women's softball, sir. I'm pretty sure you called that one without a
Well,
doubt.
I'm watching the final right now with Florida State and Oklahoma. Uh, I had Oklahoma and Utah. You had Oklahoma and Tennessee.
Okay, I thought you had Oklahoma and Florida
No,
State,
no,
so okay. I
no.
feel a little bit better then. And actually, for the final, there have been rain delays or weather
Yeah.
delays that were over 2.5 hours long because they did start the game around 9 o'clock, but as soon as they started, they had to have another weather delay. So the game really did not stand or at least go all the way till about 10 o'clock is when game really got going.
That's why we're only in the bottom of the fourth.
Exactly. Exactly.
So,
Because otherwise the game would be a lot more done, or a lot more probably in about the sixth, or all the game would be over by now.
yep.
So now for baseball, I was take a look at some of our picks, just from what I remembered off the top of my head. There were some upsets.
Yeah, I'm looking at those now. Um, I don't think there was anything that was, you know, um, super bad on either one of us. You had Indiana State advancing, so good for you. I did not. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think there was anything like that I would say was horrible.
It was more just we picked some of the so-called blue bloods and they didn't make it. I was surprised that Clemson, Auburn, Vanderbilt, to name a few, didn't make it.
Social.
Hmm.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, yeah, we both. I mean, and that's the thing. Like on the blue bloods that we missed, we kind of missed on the same ones.
Yeah, so it wasn't as epic or life changing, so to speak.
Correct.
Do you want to make some picks for who's going to make it out of the super regionals?
I always want to make picks.
All right, I will let you go first.
So you want to pick the? We've got four super regionals that begin on Friday, and four that begin on Saturday.
I want to pick them both, so that
Okay.
way we can see who's going to be in the two brackets.
Okay. Sure. That's fine with me. I'll let you call them. Go ahead. Or do you want me to?
It's
I know you've been battling the technology tonight.
if I told you what I wanted to do, technology right now would be in a lot of trouble.
I don't
So,
mind calling them if you want me to. That's fine.
why don't you go ahead and start?
Okay, sure. So the first one is going to be South Carolina at Florida. That's going to get underway on Friday. Um, I am going to take the Gamecocks to pull the upset.
I actually was looking at doing the same thing.
Okay. So are you doing the same thing?
Well, I could, but if you're gonna call for the upset, I'm gonna try to pick the team outside of you this time.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pick the Gators, just so that way we have a little parity.
Okay. Duke at Virginia. I'll let you go first.
You got to pick Virginia on this one.
You don't have to. I'm going to go with Duke.
Hmm.
I picked
Wow,
against Virginia in the first part. I picked East Carolina to come out. So my thinking is, if I didn't pick you originally, how can I pick you now?
that is fair. That is fair. I mean, I like UVA in this. I mean, Duke being able to upset and beat Coastal Carolina is definitely a big way for them to advance. So if they keep advancing, that's great. But I think UVA is going to get them all they can handle.
Oral Roberts at Oregon.
You know what? I'm gonna go for the upset. I'm gonna call Oral Roberts.
All right, I'm going to go Oregon anyway. Now, see, I'm not as stubborn as you are. I'm not just going to pick the opposite just because you picked it.
Well, see,
So,
I, even though the opposite, because I'm actually a lot of these I'm picking. I actually think that they're gonna do okay.
right.
Because what I did before I had the technical difficulties, I did make some of these picks already.
Okay.
Although when I did make those picks, I did pick South Carolina over Florida, so I have to change that. But
So you were cheating on me.
well, I wasn't cheating on you per se, but I was trying to make sure that with the computer being how it was,
Sure.
the picks would be in at least. I mean, I
Gotcha.
wanted you to be here, but like we talked about, you were a little bit, you had something else going on. So as soon as
Right.
I could get you in, I wanted to make sure I could make picks with you as well.
Summertime is a little bit difficult for me, so we do what we got to do.
Exactly.
Indiana State at TCU. Now I don't know if you kind of read into this one a little bit. I wanted to touch on this real quick. Indiana State had to kind of move the regional. It sounded like because they were going to host the super regional, but they didn't want to have their staff work for more weekends or whatever. Plus, I guess they're having Special Olympics in Terre Haute as well. So, with that being said, I'm going to go Indiana State.
I think Indiana State's going to win. I'm picking them as well.
Okay.
In fact, what I said earlier when you weren't here, I was picking them as my so-called Cinderella story this year.
Okay. Well, you got to think. So we've got 8 super regionals, and all 8 of these team winners are going to go to Omaha for the College World Series. So if you want to call that a Cinderella, by the way, Oklahoma softball up 2-0 as we speak against Florida State.
There we go.
So it's a thing of where everybody's going to Omaha. So I mean, to me, Indiana State's ranked number 14 in the country, but I don't think many people would have predicted them to go to Omaha. So anyway, moving on.
Well, one other thing I did want to mention very quickly.
Yep.
Out of the 16 teams that made it into the semifinals, the super regionals, only 9 are ranked.
Oh wow. Okay.
So
I could be very boring on this upcoming regional, but let's see. Alabama at Wake Forest. I'm going to go Deacon.
So am I. I think that they're going to be the team to beat until they lose. Honestly,
I don't think they're going to win the whole thing, but I've got to go Demon Deacon. Texas at Stanford. I would really like to pick Texas, but I can't.
Yeah, I'm picking Stanford too. I don't think Texas is going to be able to beat them.
Okay. Kentucky at LSU. Give me LSU all day.
Same.
No. Tennessee at Southern Miss. Of course, Southern Miss, that may be one of their most famous alums, Brett Favre. Tennessee has got a lot of famous alums. I can't name you one off the top of my head.
Peyton Manning.
Yeah, Peyton Manning. I was going to say, see, my brain is on the NBA tonight because Game 3 of the finals was tonight. Allen Houston, former New York Knickerbocker.
Yes.
There's a good 30 for 30 documentary, Bernie and Ernie Grunfeld, Bernard King. With that being said, I'm going to go with Tennessee.
I'm going to pick Tennessee as well. I don't think Southern Miss is going to be able to beat them, and they did well making it to the Super Regional, but I just don't. I think this is where their storybook is going to be shut.
So just to review very quickly, you and I are both picking 2 away teams because the Super Regional best of 3 at one site. I am picking 2 more additional away teams. So I'm picking 4 road teams. You're picking 2. So
yes, sir.
Oklahoma just scored again too, by the way.
Oh man, I was waiting for that to happen just because as much as you wanted, as much as people want Oklahoma to lose, it's not as easy as people think. And I mean, I feel for Florida State just because with the delay that obviously didn't help matters. But Oklahoma's been the team to beat, especially with 50 consecutive wins, which is a divisional record.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson scored 7 on them, but they didn't beat them. So, I mean, that can be a part of a blueprint, but not the whole thing.
I mean, we'll see what happens, but I know it's game 1, but game 2 is tomorrow.
Yep.
And I know that they pulled the starting picture out as well, so she looks like she's being consoled on the sideline right now, or in the dugout.
Well, Florida State's number 3 in the nation, I believe. Can't knock anything the Seminoles have done, but Oklahoma is just a buzzsaw.
Yeah,
So
there's no doubt about that. And it's waiting to see how the rest of the game goes, but they're off to a good start. And Bob, I'm going to make my pick on this. I predict Oklahoma's going to win in 2.
I will go on that tree branch with you.
So, I mean, as much as I'd love to see if they could do more, it's not looking good for them. And I respect that Florida State made it all the way here, but unfortunately, like you said, they run into a buzzsaw, and I really do not think that, unfortunately, this buzzsaw is going to be cut down anytime soon.
Yeah, and part of it, I think is with Oklahoma, they're not going to beat themselves. So not only do you have to play a near flawless game, you've got to play a near flawless game, if not perfect, and just hope that you can kind of stick around to win.
Exactly. I mean, game 1, I think it's in the books right now. I mean, Florida State could come back, but I think game 2 is probably gonna be a better shot for them tomorrow, because I think also part of the thing is with the delays they had today for the game. I think that's also messed with them as well.
Yeah, I can see that. I'm not throwing dirt on the Seminoles like you are quite yet, but I mean, I can definitely see that.
That's okay. I'm used to making choices that don't always work out, but you know what? It's worth it to at least try it.
Sure.
Because I do respect Florida State and what they've been able to accomplish.
But they're
I
just going
just
to get
hope.
swept, according to you.
Yes,
Okay.
but they've had a great year.
I'm sure that makes them feel better.
I mean, I
Hey,
know
you're
they
going to
don't
get
get that.
swept, but you've had a great year.
Well, I mean, although it's not going to make them feel better in the grand scheme of things, when you see how much success they've had, not only in regular play, but in the regionals, the super regionals, and make it to the Women's College World Series.
Right.
Even if they don't win, think about how much of a recruiting boon it's going to be for them to be able to use that. And another thing that I also mentioned, I did talk about the finals earlier, and also Messi. He's going to play for Inter Miami. And I think that that's going to help for soccer. I think that's going to help certain recruits when they want to play soccer for different places or just looking into it.
Okay. I don't.
Well, I mean, that's why for certain subjects you and me disagree on things, and we'll see how it plays out. We got time.
And you could be totally right on that. I think the way I look at it is, I think to get soccer to be popular in this country, I mean, they've tried it with others like Beckham and everything else. I don't know how you get soccer to the popularity point that you need to take it to the quote unquote that next level. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I hope you're right. I do. But
Well, I mean, here's the reason why I'm thinking that. Okay, we've had Beckham, we've had Wayne Rooney, we've had Thierry Henry, just to name 3, what you could call it, the marquee players that came to the MLS. Henry, out of the 3, is the only one who had won a World Cup.
right.
Whereas Rooney and Beckham were both famous in English soccer, but the thing for Messi, he's famous all over the world.
Sure.
Not only has he played in La Liga, he's played for PSG this last 2 years, and with his notoriety finally winning the World Cup for Argentina, and he's won the Ballon d'Or, which is the best player in European soccer, I think 4 out of the last 5 years. I think that just with all that alone, with him coming over here, besides all the details they're working on for him, I think it's going to be a huge point for certain players to want to come here just to see them play and be like, hey, I was able to play somewhere where Messi plays or Messi played a game.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I totally get where you're coming from with it. I think for me, I just look at it from a standpoint of it hasn't worked before, and being the cynical one I am, I almost say I've got to see it work before I can say it's going to work.
Fair enough. Fair
And
enough.
and I, dude, I'll be honest with you. I hope you're right. I think that, um, I think any sport succeeding is just that, it's a great thing. But in terms of how do you get a sport to succeed, that is essentially trying the same thing they've done before and trying to get better with it. Man, I don't know. I mean, I hope you're right, but I don't know.
Right now, I'll say what I said in a soccer group I posted earlier. I think in terms of players that are focused on or known
Yep.
worldwide for soccer, you got Pele, you have Maradona, and I think you have Messi.
So
I think that's where the list is right now.
you think that Messi was a bigger recognizable name than Beckham?
I do.
Hmm.
Because, well, I'll put it like this. Beckham, he played for the LA Galaxy, then he went to Paris Saint-Germain. Whereas now, Messi was at Paris Saint-Germain, and now he's coming to the MLS to play at Inter Miami.
Right.
So he's switched up, and Beckham's an icon in English soccer. There's no doubt about that. But the thing for him, once he came over here and became an owner, you don't really see him as much. I mean, he still has got tons of marketing appeal as
Right.
the owner and just for how he set himself up when he was playing in the MLS and when he came back. But I think Messi, the way that things are now, the marketing and brand appeal that he's going to have is going to be so much more than what Beckham has. Just because remember, for Beckham, even though he's been an amazing soccer player, people know him for his wife as well.
Sure.
Because she was an international icon from being a Spice Girl and then as when she's a designer now too.
Right.
So Messi's wife stays out of the limelight, and so I think that's going to be something that's big. Because even though when he was however coming to MLS, he said, "I want to try to be lower profile, so that's why I came here." But I mean, that can help us, I would assume.
I hope
And
you're
if
right
I'm
on
wrong,
all this.
I hope I am too. But if I'm wrong, I'll let you say I told you so.
I mean, I feel like this is not an "I told you so" type thing because I don't want to gloat. Because I'm actually even when we disagree, there are times where I'm pulling for you to be right, and this is one of those times.
Well, I appreciate that, and I hope it is. But you know what? We'll just see what happens for that. Also, let's see how it is for these wildfires right now, because in Canada,
Yep.
that's a little definitely not the best thing that's going on. So, uh, being that we kind of were able to see the clouds in the sky from the wildfires, hopefully they're able to get these resolved sooner rather than later. And also, I saw that the ex-Florida State wide receiver, he had been on trial for the 3 people that were shot and killed. He
Right.
was found not guilty today. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. And I mean, he did say it was self-defense, but it just the way the situation was.
Right.
Unfortunately, some people did not survive, and that's not good. But it just kind of tricky to even mention. But I did want to make sure we mentioned that very quickly.
It's so much more fun, I think, when the legal blotter stays out of the sports talk. But unfortunately, we've gotten to the point to where that doesn't happen all the time now, and the two kind of merge together. So yeah, it is. You're definitely right, Alan. 100%. It is tough to bring up.
Yes. Well, we came, we saw, we brought it up. That being said, even with all the technical difficulties, if we were going to try to get a hold of you, what would be the best way to do that, sir?
Well, as you found out tonight, it's normally not the Instagram. The Sports Buffet on Instagram. I'm probably a little bit better on the Sports Buffet on Twitter. You can also go to the Facebook site, the Sports Buffet podcast, or you can go to YouTube, the Sports Buffet. I claim to be not great on any of them, though.
Well, you have me beat on all of them, sir, just because I look at things occasionally. But compared to you, I'm just a dedicated amateur, and I'm okay with that. But if you were going to follow me, at some point I will post on Twitter at Alan F. West, and I do have Instagram at alan.west.46.
The
So
running joke you will post on Twitter continues.
exactly. We're going to keep that going. I mean, we'll see what'll happen first. Either I post on Twitter or I get a year older. We'll see what happens.
When's your birthday? Am I
April
telling that?
Fool's Day.
Well, we'll see. That could be a tight one.
Yeah, I mean, we'll make a few decisions later on. I'm looking to maybe this month or next month making a post on Twitter, so we'll see. And then we'll have to start a new running joke, sir.
I'm sure we'll find one. I don't think it'll be a problem.
Absolutely. Is there anything else you can think of we didn't try to mention about for sports tonight?
Not that I can think of. I mean, there's always a lot, but yeah, I think we hit it pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, next week we'll be able to talk about the NCAA men and women track and field just because I was watching some of the prelims for that, and there were a few upsets and people didn't make qualifying. But we will see how that goes next week. And also for our picks in baseball and softball. So I'm Alan West. That's Bob Alvis. This has been Top 25 Rundown. We will see you next week.